Hello, how are you? Today, we're gonna wrap up suicidal prevention. We're gonna wrap up suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideations. We've been talking about suicidal thoughts for the last 4 weeks, and today we're gonna wrap up. So I go back to the beginning, the way I started. I explained the duality of the universe. I also explained the duality of our mind, and I also explained about the universe has a duality within a duality. If you haven't watched any of my videos, please go back and watch the last 4 segments on suicidal prevention or suicidal ideations. I have a part 1, part 2, and part 3. But now today, we're going to wrap up because just the way I explained it before, to understand where suicidal thoughts come from. Because the way we are treating mental illness these days is not, we are leaving something out. And what we leave out is the spiritual component of mental illness. And with that, I just have to give you a disclaimer. I don't want you to stop any therapy that you're doing with your doctor. I don't want you to stop medication without your doctor's permission. But I want you to understand the spiritual component of mental illness, and especially suicidal thoughts, because nobody can help you with that. Your doctor can't help you with that. Your mother cannot help you with that. If you are affected by suicidal thoughts, only you and God can help you. So going back to the beginning, I explained the 3 parts of a human being: the spirit, the soul, and the body. When we look at a human being, the body is the only part that we see. We don't see the soul and we don't see the spirit. Now the spirit is a little piece of God in you, and the spirit is sacred. You can't collapse. It's very, very difficult to collapse a human spirit. You will have to sell your soul and maybe deny God and knowingly do that to collapse your spirit. But now when we come to the soul, this is collaptible. This is where this is the playground of the devil. And I know some people don't understand or don't believe in the devil, but if you don't believe in the devil, I really feel sorry for you, because that's how he wants us to live our lives. He don't want us to believe in him. And yet, he's there messing up with our lives. So this is the second part. The soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. So the mind is where the devil plays. This is where we get all our bad thoughts and all our good thoughts. Now the power that we have is the power of choice. We are able to choose thoughts. We can choose good thoughts and leave bad thoughts. I just needed you to understand the part about the spiritual component of mental illness, that thoughts are spiritual seeds. And good thoughts come from God, bad thoughts come from the devil. Good thoughts come from God, bad thoughts come from the devil, and we have the power to choose. But now when you find people saying that depression causes suicidal thoughts, actually the bad thoughts that we choose are the ones that cause depression. Because when you choose bad thoughts, they cause the chemistry of your brain to change, and they also cause your brain to change. So that's where you hear people coming up with chemical imbalance, brain disorder. But really, brain disorder and chemical imbalance is a symptom of the thoughts that we choose. Now, there is a spiritual component to all that. Everything I've told you about thoughts, if you're able to choose them, that's mental. That's the mental component. And if somebody is able to choose their thoughts, you can do therapy with them. But if there's a spiritual infection in your mind, that means that the devil has come under your skin. He is actually in your mind right now, controlling your mind. And if he has complete control over your mind, you can't do therapy with this person. If you're having suicidal thoughts and they feel like they're your thoughts and you cannot control them, it means the devil has grabbed your mind and he has complete control over your mind. And what needs to happen when he does that, you need deliverance. And that's the spiritual part that lacks in mental illness. So there is a spirit of heaviness, and that's when you see somebody who is depressed. They don't want to be depressed, but yet they cannot control it. Anything you cannot control is a spiritual infection. Now, depression is not the only thing that causes suicidal tendencies or suicidal thoughts. There is also fantasy. There's a little bit of fantasy that comes in, especially when we look at the New Age spirituality, because according to statistics, 54% of people who kill themselves are not depressed. So you have to wonder what is going on with that part. Some people have fantasies, especially with the New Age spirituality. People who study the cosmos, people who think that they are star seeds and they belong to a different dimension, they belong to a different planet, and if they're not happy with their life here on Earth, they can wish to die so they can go to the planet that they came from. And those are the star seeds you hear young people talking about. So that is fantasy. And I've met people like that, people who actually want to leave this Earth so they can go to the planet that they came from. So they think that their body is made up of stardust, and that is fantasy. So that's one thing that causes suicidal behavior. The other thing we've talked about is hypnosis. What is hypnosis? Some people encourage people to go for hypnosis, either to cure depression, to cure anxiety. Hypnosis is where you allow someone access to your mind so they can go in your mind and clean up the junk that's there. That's a very, very bad thing to do, and that's why hypnosis has a dark side to it. Because if you give someone, you know, a bad person, if you give them access to your mind, they bypass your willpower, and they can speak directly to your mind and actually make you behave like a zombie. You can go kill yourself. If they spoken those kind of thoughts into your mind, you will follow direction like a zombie. So that's another thing that causes suicidal tendencies. And then the New Age spirituality. I wonder why they call it New Age, because it's actually a very old age. Some of the Eastern religions, spirituality like Kabbalah, spirituality like Kemetic spirituality, that is the Egyptian spirituality, Hindu, Buddhism, you know, when they encourage you to do something like Kundalini yoga, transcendental meditation, Kabbalah spirituality, where you're observing the cosmos and the sun and the moon, some other things like, and so many other spiritual components. These are very, very old. They're ancient spirituality. The only reason they call it New Age is because now they've mixed it with Christianity. And how do they get people to do this? Because they tell you that there is hidden knowledge that is within those spiritual paths. But what they don't tell you is that you're actually worshiping other gods. And if you worship other gods, it's a spiritual path. And if you're going to go on a spiritual path, I recommend that people get a guide. If you're going to do Kabbalah, make sure you have a guide, a master, somebody who is going to direct you. If you're going to do Kemetic spirituality, make sure you have a guide, because that's a spiritual path. If you're going to do Kundalini yoga and many other yogas, get a yogi, get a master, somebody who's done this before. If you're going to do transcendental meditation, get a monk, if you can afford it. But if you go on a spiritual path without somebody directing you, you will end up in trouble, and you might end up killing yourself, because this spiritual path, they open up some kind of spiritual energy inside your body, which is serpentine in nature, and you might see things that you're not ready to see, and if you don't know how to deal with them, they might end up tormenting you, harassing you, and you might end up killing yourself. I know so many people have gone to use drugs just so they can be able to sleep. This is serious business when you worship other gods. And I do believe most of the time we see people killing themselves, it's because of the New Age spirituality. New Age spirituality is a dangerous spirituality. And if you're going to do it, I can't tell you what to do and what not to do. If you're going to do it, get a master. Make sure you have somebody who is guiding you through this. Lastly, but not least, people who kill themselves. Some of them are actually murders that are made to look like suicide. So there is also a little bit of that going on. You know, somebody gets killed and everything is made to look like suicide. So with that, I've wrapped up mental illness, the spiritual component of suicidal tendencies, and I urge you to get more information so your eyes of understanding can be opened and your ears of understanding can be opened. This is a book I wrote about a year ago. It's called Bipolar on the Throes of the Wild Kingdom. This book has my personal testimony in it, and it will be able to show you. I've actually summarized everything you can think of in mental illness. I've put anxiety disorder here, depression disorder here, addictive disorder, bipolar, schizophrenia, everything you can think of in mental illness is seen here. It will help you at least get a baseline for what mental illness is and what it's not. And with that, you will understand the spiritual component of mental illness, which nobody in the world can help you with. Your doctor can help you, your nurse can help you, your mother can help you, nobody can help you but you. And also to understand, I know the New Age spirituality says that there are many ways to God. I want you to know that there is only one way to God. There is only one way to God, the Most High God. And that is the only one you need to be able to help you with mental illness. The greatest psychiatrist in the world, there is only one that can heal the soul. So with that, I'm done with mental illness. Get this book so you can get more information. Thank you.